The movie begins with a lonely fisherman named Syracuse steering his small boat through the misty Irish waters. As he hauls up his net, his world turns upside down. Tangled inside is the limp body of a woman. Panicked, he pulls her aboard and performs mouth-to-mouth until, with a gasp, she springs back to life, coughing out seawater. She whispers that she thought she was dead. Wrapped in a blanket, trembling, she refuses to go to the hospital or be seen by anyone. And as another boat passes, she hides beneath the nets, terrified of being recognized. Syracuse introduces himself gently, saying people call him Circus, a nickname that makes him sound like a clown. When he asks her name, she admits she doesn't know. Believing she's hit her head, he decides to hide her in his late mother's old cottage, far from prying eyes. Leaving her food, he promises to return soon. Syracuse then drives to town to pick up his young daughter Annie from his ex-wife. Annie is frail, confined to a wheelchair, and needs regular dialysis. During the hospital visit, she asks her father to tell her one of his stories, something strange and wonderful. Smiling, he begins the tale of a fisherman who caught a mysterious woman in his net. Annie listens wide-eyed, asking, was she a mermaid or a Selkie? He pauses, unsure how to answer. Later that day, Syracuse visits the hidden cottage. To his surprise, the woman is still there, waiting. She seems calm now, curious about him. When he mentions going fishing, she asks to join. Though he hesitates, saying it's bad luck to have a woman on board, he eventually agrees. Out on the water, he asks again for her name. She pauses, then says softly, Ondine. It means a woman of the sea. As he casts his lobster traps, Ondine begins to sing, a haunting, otherworldly melody in a language he's never heard. Moments later, he pulls up the cage and finds it overflowing with lobsters. Thinking it's coincidence, he tosses another trap, empty. Then she sings again, and this time, it's full once more. Syracuse stares at her, stunned. Could she be bringing him luck or something more? Later, when they return, Ondine refuses to go into town. She doesn't want to be seen, so Syracuse sells the lobsters alone and uses the money to buy her a dress, and even steals some women's underwear for her. The next day, he visits Annie again, continuing the story of the fisherman and the sea woman whose songs summon fish. Annie grins and insists, she's a Selkie, Dad, half woman, half seal. Annie explains that Selkies can shed their seal skins to live among humans for 7 years, but must eventually return to the sea. The story excites her imagination, yet she senses her father is hiding something real behind the tale. At the cottage, Ondine tries on her new clothes. She doesn't know how to tie shoelaces, which makes Syracuse smile. When he gives her the dress, she kisses him in gratitude. How long will you stay? He asks. That depends on you, she replies. Then you can stay forever, he says softly, unaware that Annie has followed him and is watching from afar. That night, Annie secretly reads books about Selkies, trying to learn the truth. Meanwhile, Syracuse visits the church to confess. He admits to the priest that he's been sober for 2 years but feels lost. He also confesses, awkwardly, that he stole women's underwear, leading to a confused reaction from the priest. Eventually, he admits it was for a mysterious woman he found at sea. Soon after, Annie meets Ondine face-to-face at the shore. The girl immediately recognizes her as the Selkie from her father's story. Annie asks if she has powers, if she can heal her kidney disease. Ondine seems puzzled but kind. Annie notes her cold skin and insists that Selkies belong underwater. She tells Ondine that if a Selkie buries her seal coat on land, she can live happily with a human for 7 years, but will cry 7 tears in that time. As Annie leaves, she points out the damp mark on her cheek. You've already cried your first tear? Later, Ondine agrees to join Syracuse fishing again, but only if he promises she'll remain unseen by others. He agrees. Out at sea, her voice once again brings him incredible luck. When patrol officers approach, Ondine hides, but they spot her anyway. They find it odd but not illegal. The news spreads through the small town, and soon everyone whispers about the strange, beautiful woman with the fisherman. Syracuse finally takes Ondine into town. Her beauty stuns everyone. People gather to stare as she tries on new clothes. For the first time, she seems to enjoy being among others, but something in her eyes still hides a secret. One afternoon, while teaching Annie to swim, Ondine spots something dark floating nearby. She dives in and retrieves it, a mysterious bundle. Annie, convinced it's her seal coat, insists they bury it to keep her safe on land. Ondine agrees, and together they dig a small grave in the sand, promising never to tell anyone where it is. But peace doesn't last. A dark-haired stranger arrives in town, asking questions about a foreign woman found near the coast. His presence spreads unease. That night, Annie tests Ondine's identity by jumping into the sea, forcing Ondine to dive in after her and save her. The girl laughs, certain now. You are a Selkie. Syracuse learns from his ex-wife that this same man has been looking for Ondine under another name. When he tells Ondine, she turns pale. She asks why people call him Circus, and he reveals his past, how his drinking nearly killed his daughter when he came home to find her unconscious while her mother was drunk. From that moment, he swore to change. Touched by his honesty, Ondine grows closer to him. That night, passion replaces fear, and they fall into each other's arms. For the first time, Syracuse dares to hope again. but he senses that happiness with her might be fleeting, a blessing that could easily turn to a curse. At the church, he confesses again to the priest. "She brings me luck," he admits, "but I'm scared. What if this ends in tragedy?" The priest warns him that misery is easy, but happiness takes courage. Meanwhile, the dark-haired man finds Ondine's hiding place. Terrified, she flees into the night. At the same time, Syracuse struggles to care for Annie after her drunken mother locks her out of the house. When he finally returns home, he finds the cottage destroyed, and Ondine trembling, claiming the Celtic husband has come to take her back. Trying to comfort her, Syracuse jokes that if she truly has powers, she should grant him a wish to make the man disappear. Instead, Ondine whispers that her only wish is for Annie to be healed. He looks at her tenderly and wishes she could stay with him forever, but fate strikes cruelly. Annie's mother, driving drunk, crashes into another car, the dark-haired man's. He's thrown from the windshield and dies instantly. Miraculously, the man's organs are a perfect match for Annie, and she finally receives the kidney transplant she desperately needed. As Annie recovers, Syracuse learns the truth about the stranger. His name was Vladik, and he wasn't her husband. Ondine confesses she knew him. In fact, they were both involved in smuggling. He had forced her to carry illegal drugs from Romania, hiding them underwater before she nearly drowned. Syracuse is stunned. The woman he thought was a mythical being was really a fugitive seeking redemption. One day, the police find the drugs missing. Vladik shows up at the cottage with an accomplice, demanding Ondine reveal where she buried them. Annie, frightened but clever, realizes they're after the object she hid earlier, what she thought was Ondine's seal coat. Ondine promises Annie she'll stay forever if she tells the truth. The girl admits she hid it inside a lobster pot at sea. Vladik drags them there at gunpoint, forcing Syracuse to help haul the trap. But as he pulls, Ondine seizes the moment, wrapping the rope around Vladik's legs and yanking it, sending both men tumbling into the dark water. Neither resurfaces. Police arrive shortly after, taking Ondine, whose real name is revealed to be Joanna, into custody. Syracuse can only watch as she's led away, unsure if he'll ever see her again. But when he later confesses at church, the priest smiles knowingly as Syracuse admits Joanna is facing deportation unless someone marries her. Days later, dressed in white, Joanna steps onto Syracuse's boat as Annie beams beside her. The townsfolk watch from the docks as the fisherman who once lived in despair now sails toward a new beginning. As the sea breeze dances around them, Syracuse kisses his bride, the woman who changed his life forever. The myths may have ended, but the magic still lingers. If you found this story as breathtaking as I did, hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Great Animation Recaps for more legendary tales and cinematic journeys every week.